Welcome to the Possibility Action Network podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton, aka Possibility Man. We're committed to bringing you guests who strive to better people's lives and serve as a force for good in the world. Our guest today is Amita Sharma. She is a holistic health advocate focused on supporting women during perimenopause and menopause. She encourages women to explore holistic therapies for their overall health and well being. Amita combines physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual practices to help women care for themselves. She co founded NourishDoc, a platform that provides holistic therapies for women. Amita, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm super excited to talk about this taboo topic. And I'm more excited a man is interviewing me. So thank you.
Yeah, I tell you, the podcast looks at three domains, and health and wellness is one of them. And as a man, I had a mother, five sisters,
Oh, wow.
spouse. Oh my gosh, and then I have a network of women friends. So I think it's fitting that you and I are having this conversation as well. Before I get into my very first question, Amita, I want to remind our listeners and our viewers follow, like, and share this podcast wherever you find it. It's an opportunity for us to co create something good together. Amita, I talk with people all over the world, every corner of I don't think I've missed one corner of the globe. Where are you physically in the world today?
I am in San Francisco.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm on the other coast. I'm in South Carolina, so we got the country covered. You got the West Coast, I got the East Coast. The whole country is covered.
Yes.
Hey, look, what was your profession before you got into Nourish Doc and the kinds of things that you're doing now?
I have changed actually three or four professions in my past life before NourishDoc, believe it or not. I started off studying architecture. I worked as an architect doing some custom homes here in San Francisco area for rich people. And then I migrated into the technology. And that's what my latest profession was before I started NourishDoc was I have been in technology, creating these beautiful immersive experiences for consumers on the web. And I ended up doing a lot of work with big companies like Walmart and Western Union and HP and you name it. So that's what I was doing. I loved being creating these immersive experiences so that consumers, when they come, when you go into the websites, what would it look like, right? That's what my expertise has been.
Yeah. So what put you on this path, the path that you're on now? What directed you here?
My personal experience, to be honest with you, I never thought I will go into the wellness or the health or any of this industry. I come from a family of doctors and I never got into medical school, by the way, disclaimer here. So I always I never thought I will ever enter this area. So it was really my personal experience of working in a tech industry and having these symptoms that I could not control, completely out of control, sitting in meetings and dripping with sweats, things like that. And then not sleeping well at night. In the morning, my brain fog is coming. I have anxiety issues. My productivity is suffering. So, all these things, which we talk about that generally there are 35 plus symptoms that are recorded for women who are going through perimenopause, menopause. I certainly had five, six of them. I just counted, right?
Mhm.
And it just impacted my entire life. It wasn't my physical part, it was my social life, my psychological, my relationship, you name it. And I'm like, oh my God, there has to be a way. And so it was just over the years I started researching into this and I didn't find much information. And
Okay.
that's when slowly I said, let me just start looking into it. If there is something there that I can create a company or I can help other women or make an impact. So that's kind
Yeah.
of how the story unfolded.
Okay. So, okay, in addition to your personal experience, why is this important to you in a nutshell? Why is this important to you to be working in this domain?
So I'll tell you what, most of the women, they feel that they are kind of be dismissed when they reach a certain age because they're menopausal right now. They think that their life is over, right? Professionally, even relationships wise and all those things. And I really want to give this message to women that this is not over. Menopause is not end of your life.
Yeah.
It is just a phase of the life. If you learn how to take care of yourself, you can still be part of, creating something or part of the community, or be, heard, right? You're not, your voice is not lost. And I feel that a lot of women feel that now they are kind of like at the sideways and not in the center of, where they were at some point. So I really want to get this message across to women: you are worth it. Believe in
Mm-hmm.
yourself, invest in yourself, self love. Most of women, all of us, we spend our life caring for each other, whether it is our kids or parents or brothers or whatever. Right? We don't take care of ourselves as women. So we need to do that. So, this message, I really want to bring it out and embracing the holistic therapies. That's
Mm-hmm.
really my message.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, perimenopause happens to be the topic of taboo and all those things associated with it, but it's women think it's a holistic part. Women think mentally they're done. They can't work, they
Uh-huh.
can't, they are not useful to the society. All these things happen, right? The self-esteem
Mm-hmm.
goes down. These are important things.
Okay. Hey, look, I want to get deeper into women's health, and I want everyone to know, if you're watching
Yeah.
or listening to the show, that I contacted my network of women.
Hmm.
Anita, to ask you some questions. Now, I want to go
Oh,
from broad to narrow. So I want to save
okay.
perimenopause and menopause for a little later, but they want to know some things. I want to just start with some of these broad topics. One of my friends asked me to ask you
Oh,
about
okay.
the pelvic examination, and she wanted to know how frequent should a woman get a pelvic exam. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
So I'm not a doctor, as I said earlier. So the pelvic exams, I think the gynecologists recommend pap smear, a yearly pap smear, just to make sure, there's nothing down happening out there
Mhm.
because of all the hormone fluctuations. Some women might be, for, I don't know, possible cancer or ovarian cyst or all those things. So pelvic exams, typically I get it done pap smear once a year. That is what the gynecologists talk about,
Mhm.
just to make sure as you're inching towards, this phase of life.
Okay. Another woman asked me, so I want to look specifically on ovarian cancer and ovarian
Hmm.
cancer screenings. And she was wondering, is there a reliable guide to detect ovarian cancer?
I'm not a cancer expert, I'll be honest with
Okay.
you, right?
Okay.
Well, I can certainly, so the guide to ovarian cancer, I don't think there's a reliable kind of a guide to my knowledge, but what I can say is the research that I have done, a lot of this cancer can be part of the estrogen dominance that happened to a lot of women. So a lot of women need to pay attention. The cancer is subset of something that's wrong with your body, right? If you think about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
inflammation or whatever. So it's what women should be paying attention to, their hormonal balance inside their body, right? It's very, very important for women to maintain the hormonal balance, specifically during the perimenopause and the menopause stage, because of the fluctuations that start happening when we women enter the perimenopause. Now, there is a lot of research that correlates estrogen dominance in women to possibly cancer, right? So it's not a guide that you know that you're going to get ovarian cancer, but if your hormones are not balanced, it could culminate into something, whether it's a cancer or diabetes or some other chronic condition. So the idea is that you really need to pay attention to your hormones in the body,
Yeah. Hmm.
right?
Understood.
It's a deep
Uh,
rooted. I'm going to the root of it, not just okay, screen it. You need to understand
right.
the root cause of why the cancer is happening. There's some
Mm,
inflammation in your body, right? Or something.
mm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there was a lot of interest in menstrual cramps,
Mm-hmm.
especially talking to a woman who is now about 70 years old, but she was looking back at her earlier life. And she said that when she was young, she was having menstrual cramps. And,
Mm-hmm.
her parents kind of dismissed it. Oh, it's just something that's happening.
Yeah.
It's normal, not an issue. She went to a doctor. The doctor dismissed it, not an issue. But then she
Yeah.
said, as she got older, she discovered when she went to an OBGYN
Yeah.
that it was symptom of a real condition and it was not
Oh,
in her head. So what should women be thinking about when they have menstrual cramps? That is just a normal thing,
yeah.
or should they actually take a look at that?
No, no, actually, PMS, premenstrual syndrome, the cramps and all
Mm,
that is not normal, to be honest with you, the research that I have done, right? The woman in a 28 day cycle, the menstrual cycle that happens to women, that during the cycle, what's happening is the hormones are again fluctuating, right? So there are different phases to our menstrual cycle. So one phase of the cycle is the estrogen is up, the other phase of the cycle is progesterone is up. So again, it's the balance of the hormones, the imbalance that can happen during this phase that can cause all these PMS symptoms. So what
mm,
women need to understand is again going back to the hormonal balance. So there are a lot of things, for example, women can do to balance during this cycle, right? The menstrual cycle that women are going through in the 28 days. One of the ways, to your point, women can do is seed cycling, seeds, right? Flax seeds,
mm,
pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, even chia seeds, so they can start. Flax seeds is, for example, is a great, it has a phytoestrogen. It can help with the natural estrogen balance and all these things. So there are natural ways that women can do, but to answer your question, cramps are not normal. They should not
mm,
have normal. They should be having normal cycle of hormonal fluctuations that are happening to women's ovulation, the luteal phase, the follicular phase, all that stuff. I don't want to go deeper into that.
yeah.
But the idea is, overall idea is, during these phases, if these hormones are not balanced, the estrogen and the
Mm,
progesterone, that's when all these issues start happening to women. And the same principle applies when the same woman enters the perimenopause, right?
mm, mm.
So it's really about balancing your hormones at the end of the
Right.
day. If your hormones are balanced, you're not going to have cramps. If your hormones are balanced here also, your symptoms, I'm not saying you're not going to have symptoms going through perimenopause, but your
Mhm.
symptoms won't be so aggravated, right?
Right. Okay. Yep.
You know?
So I want to get in. Yep. I want to get into menopause, perimenopause, and menopause in a
Mhm,
moment, but just a couple of
mhm.
more broad questions, if
Sure,
you're open
sure.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, one woman asked, "Is there? I mean, what do you think about supplementation?" And specifically, she wanted to know, are there benefits of supplementing with vitamin D?
So it depends, right? It's not like, yes, vitamin D is deficient with most of us, including men, by the
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
because,
Indeed.
right,
Yeah.
right, because especially if people live in East Coast, the sunlight, there's not so much
Mhm.
sunlight, right? We have a lot of sunlight. So typically, vitamin D, all of us are deficient. So before you start taking on all these supplements, I think it's important to get the blood work done
Mm.
to really understand the deficiencies inside your body. Otherwise, you don't want to be growing this supplement garden inside your stomach, right? Without knowing what is happening inside
Yeah.
in your body, right? So my suggestion would be to really get a simple blood work or some kind of a testing done. And then in the testing, wherever you're deficient in, and then that's how you take the supplements rather than take the
Yeah.
supplements, go to Costco and pick up everything and
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to go for it, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
help. I did that. I'm telling you. I started supplementing like crazy and 10 things, everything you could think of under the sun. And
Mhm.
it impacted my gut health. And so you don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I just want to underscore it, and you can come back in here with me as well,
Mhm.
is that, when you go to your doctor for your physical, you can get, and sometimes you can ask for it, like a
Mhm.
micronutrient blood work so that you'll know what your vitamin D level, B12 level, all
Yes.
those kinds of things. So yeah, I think that's a very good, excellent point. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so and this is, I guess you've already answered it. Supplementation could be important, but you want to know why you're taking it. You don't know
Mhm.
if you're deficient. But one of my friends asked me, well, ask about arthritis. Is there
Oh,
is there a natural way for us to deal with arthritis?
so interestingly, like I said, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm sharing
Uh,
with you the research that I have done. So, believe it or not, rheumatoid arthritis can be taken care of with Ayurveda, believe it or not. That is
yes,
the
so far,
research.
okay.
And I'm happy to share the research with you as well after the show. The reason is the rheumatoid arthritis specifically is building up of toxins inside our body. It's all about inflammation that is accumulated over years of toxic environment, toxic maybe material, plastic, fast food, you name it, right? The stress, anxiety. So all these toxins are built in our body. And Ayurveda has a research, a controlled clinical trial also, right? That a therapy called panchakarma can
Mm,
help get the rheumatoid arthritis and help people with this situation with the condition.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah, I
another.
was very surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, here's another one. And let me preface it by saying, many years ago, a friend
Mhm,
of mine told me that his doctor said that health is in the shape of your stomach. That if you have a
mhm,
stomach with the belly fat hanging over your belt, that could be a
mhm,
bad sign about your
mhm,
health. So this
mhm.
person wanted me to ask you, is belly fat a significant health risk in women?
Uh, yes, 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 it is. I'll tell you. So, like I said, the research, what it happens is that again, I'm going back to the root cause of the belly fat. The visceral fat that most of
Mm,
the women cannot get rid of is not good at all because what happens is again, it's a sign of estrogen dominance, right?
mm,
I shared a little bit of that, and if you're estrogen dominant, the fat that gets accumulated on the belly, it has a visceral fat that can actually result into some kind of a chronic condition as you get older. Diabetes, metabolic syndrome, right?
mm.
Obesity. We know obesity is linked to so many of chronic conditions. So definitely work on your belly fat. I know it's hard. It's really hard to get rid of, but
Mm.
something else is happening in your body, and that possibly is the estrogen dominance. So you need to again get that flushed out, right? You
Yeah.
can get a Dutch test done, like a hormone panel, where it'll tell you which hormones are where and which hormones are out of whack. And then that way you know where to work on. Like testing is
Mm.
important. And you don't even have to go to the doctor nowadays. You can do at home. These so many of these companies have at home tests, saliva
Mm.
tests, so many things, and they're like a couple of $100s. I'm just giving options, whatever people
Sure.
want.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think yes, belly fat is something that you really, really need to pay attention to and
Yeah.
get rid of it somehow.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that applies to all of us. All of us get that
Yes.
little chunky around the belly. And in addition to everything else that you've done, and I've discovered this personally, in addition to anything else, everything else you've done, plant-based, whatever, you got to back away from that table from time to time. You got to watch what you consume for sure. Um,
Mhm,
Here's another one, which concerns everybody, but I think it's such an important question.
mhm,
Um, how do we, what tips would you give us in terms of avoiding being over medicated in today's
mm,
culture? Now, the reason as well as I do, you turn on your television set, for 30 minutes, you're going to see an ad
yeah.
from a
Yeah.
pharmaceutical company. So how do
Mhm.
we avoid, being over medicated in this culture?
It's hard, right? Because you hear the media and you believe the media. I mean, all of us are programmed like that, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I personally don't take medication unless I have to. I'm not saying medication is bad, but to maintain a good, healthy life, you can embrace holistic therapies and not really take medication to lose weight. Like,
Mm.
Ozempic is coming, or so many things are coming, right? So how do you avoid? Yes, it is hard because the natural part of what the work I'm doing doesn't go on the TV or on the media. You
Yeah.
see, because there's
Yeah.
not much money. I mean, I can't afford to give ads in the television. I have to rely on you, your network, to help spread the word. So these are big companies, they're multi-billion dollar companies. So everybody has to do what they have to do. But you somehow need to make a conscious effort to embrace a holistic lifestyle and do lifestyle modifications. I don't know. I mean, you need to do that, right? For
Yeah.
everyone, including men
Yeah.
and women.
That's for sure. I mean, I've watched television and I've seen an ad. What they've
Mhm,
done, you've seen this,
mhm.
they've taken a type 2 diabetes drug
Yes.
and
Mhm,
they've marketed it as a weight loss drug. And I said,
mhm,
oh my, it was just horrifying to see that. Yeah.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah. So, okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty of what you
mhm,
do. And that is you refer to it, gently as that taboo topic,
mhm,
perimenopause and menopause. And I want you
mhm.
to talk to me as if I'm a 13-year-old, male or female, just a 13-year-old. Firstly, let me tell you, I didn't know about perimenopause until you.
Oh, okay.
I only thought about menopause,
Yeah,
What's this perimenopause thing? What is perimenopause?
yeah. Oh, you okay? Yeah,
I'm
because
asking you.
13
Yeah.
year old and a 13-year-old would not know it, and I don't want to scare a 13-year-old, by the
Okay.
way.
Okay. Well, let's. Well, you're talking to a 40-year-old,
Yes.
but you want to talk to us, males and females, as if we're
Hmm.
13-year-olds. What's
Okay, okay.
perimenopause?
Yeah, so perimenopause is a transition phase that comes in a woman's life before she hits menopause. So menopause is a 13-year-old is starting her periods, let's say, right? And then a 13-year-old, I will talk to a 13-year-old saying, look, your periods are starting. It's not forever. The periods are going to stop one day. And when the periods are going to stop, then you are hit menopause. But the time before the periods are stopping, there's going to be in fluctuations in your period. They're going to be irregular, meaning they're not going to happen every 28 days. There could be 21 days or 15 days, or even as you start going further, they could be 2 months apart. So that whole
Oh.
period of fluctuations in your periods, which are not regular, is called perimenopause. That transition, your body is preparing to transition into menopause, which is your periods are going to stop now. So that's how I'll
Mhm.
explain to a 13-year-old. So she understands periods. She knows it's the periods that are going to not be 28 days after she hits 40 or maybe 35 plus. Her periods are going to be different at a different time, different duration, not necessarily after
Mhm.
28 days, but after 21 days or 15 or whatever.
Mhm. So, in addition to the fluctuation of the menstrual cycle, it could be
Mhm,
shorter, it could be longer. You've just
mhm.
said. What other kinds of symptoms should a woman that a woman may see during this phase?
Yeah, so period first sign is, like I said, the menstrual cycle, the menstrual health, right? That is fundamental to a woman's health. Due to these menstrual health irregularities, women can start seeing hot flashes. Like I told you, I started getting hot flashes, meaning you can start sweating,
Mhm.
anytime unprepared. Then due to that, you'll have problem in sleeping at night sweats. You can't sleep because you're soaking and your bed sheets kind of get literally wet. Brain fog in the morning. Then anxiety, 50% of women have anxiety issues. Loss of libido, sexual health issues with partners. A lot of women have that. They don't talk about this issues. Belly fat, we talked about that. Abdominal bloating, right? Because of, I
Mhm.
told you, the hormones are not balanced. Weight gain, hair thinning. The hair start thinning sometimes. Even skin has some issues, like acne. You can get that when you're older. These are some of the issues that I'm talking about that women can have. And then, of course, as the loss of estrogen starts happening, osteoarthritis, right? The knee, the joint pain, overall chronic fatigue. You're always tired. I always used to be tired. I never could get up in the morning. And then a diabetes, obesity can lead to
Oh.
diabetes type 2, heart health,
Mhm.
cardiovascular issues, cancer. We talked about that a little bit. And then dementia.
Oh.
Women are more prone to dementia than men. So that's exactly why I am after this perimenopause. Is
Mhm.
it's not just only hot flashes, it's the whole idea, the thing that is happening to women as they get older, 55,
Mhm.
65 plus, all the chronic conditions are creeping on them,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
don't know what to do. And then you see them, in the, like in memory care, and you see women not able to walk. It's so common,
Mhm.
right? Especially, right, my mom, she has a problem walking for the last 10 years, and she's in her
Mhm.
80s now.
Okay.
And it's because of, I'm sure it's because of, if you put two and two together, it's she has a hysterectomy, or
Mhm.
in her 40s, and the depletion of all these leads to all these conditions. So it's not just only this that I'm explaining about.
Okay. And so perimenopause then results from a normal fluctuation in
Hmm.
hormones, hormonal fluctuations. So how do you prepare women to get ready for that? Do you just simply say, look, if you hit 40 or so, this early stage, it's not menopause yet, but menopause is coming, get ready. Is that what you do, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think, see, the thing is, in our community, in our society, nobody prepares us. So perimenopause, that's the problem. The touch points of woman. Think about it. A
Okay.
woman in her late 30s, if she goes to a doctor, at least I wasn't told that I'm going to enter perimenopause and be prepared, or
Okay.
prepare yourself. I don't know. Even now, I've talked to so many women. They're not being kind of made aware of the fact that there is going to be a perimenopause. But
Right.
yes, they need to be made aware at the touch
Mm,
points wherever they
mm,
are, whether they are in the workplace, whether they are in the office, like a gynecologist office. That's the one that women end up going, or whether they're in the
mm,
community, wherever they're
mm.
interacting. Even, like in temples and religious organizations, they should have some kind of a group to educate, because that's where we congregate as human beings, right? We
Yeah.
congregate.
Yeah, you just made me aware of something. I can imagine a supervisor, especially a male supervisor,
Yeah.
a woman is going through perimenopause. She's only 38 years old, and he's probably thinking, "You're just 38. That's not, you see what I mean? It can be dismissed when you're saying we need to be aware that this is a real condition
Hmm.
affecting women."
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely. Wherever, yes, we can.
mm, so menopause.
Hmm.
We know what it is, but tell us, what is that?
So that typically happens 51, 52, but there is a difference as per the uh, ethnicity of a woman. So, for example, average age for menopause is 51, 52, but African American and Latino women get it at 47, 48, 3 years, 2 to 3 years younger.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
an ethnic angle to the menopause age, is what I'm saying.
I got you. I'm glad you said that,
Mhm,
because, all women have something in common. They give birth, they have
mhm,
cycles, but then
mhm,
all women isn't one group. So you need to be
mhm,
aware that there are ethnic, racial
mhm,
variations as well. So
mhm,
at the point of menopause, then, and I'm asking
mhm,
as a man now, is
mhm.
this where you start to get like estrogen injections or not?
So, okay, so there's a lot of controversy on this
Mm,
hormonal replacement therapy. So,
okay.
typically, from what I have seen, the research, that the time to get the hormone replacement therapy is when you are in perimenopause, not when you are a 60-year-old woman. That's what they
Oh,
say. So, I think it's better to consult with someone who is a specialist in hormone replacement therapy. So what basically they're doing is an estrogen, like I told you, estrogen is going down, so is progesterone.
mhm,
So they start supplementing that with the estrogen patch or some different kind of things.
mhm,
So I think it varies woman to woman, right?
mhm.
The best ways, if a woman wants to go to hormonal replacement therapy, then they should consult with someone who is an expert in hormone
Uh-huh.
replacement therapy, as an example. So it's not one size fits all. For example, a woman who's a cancer warrior cannot probably take hormone replacement therapy, right? as an
Mm-hmm.
example. So it's not like everyone can take hormone replacement therapy. It's the same idea of the supplements. You asked me the question. This is
Mm-hmm.
also requires a deep testing and making sure that the body is not rejecting, and all those things that you don't want to have estrogen dominance right now. But uh, over the years, hormone replacement therapy has become safe. Earlier in 70s there was a scare of cancer, but a lot of work has been done, for 40 years. In the last so many years, it is considered safe, but still it needs to go through an authorized someone, an expert, a naturopathic expert, a functional medicine doctor, or whoever is a hormone replacement therapy expert.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there a, we've talked about a lot already,
Yes.
perimenopause and all of its symptoms, menopause, its symptoms. Is there
Mhm.
an easier path? Is there something that a woman could start doing at 35
Mhm.
to make the next 15 years easier when it comes to perimenopause and menopause?
Absolutely. And that's what I'm advocating, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying don't get hormone replacement therapy. That's not the point. What I'm saying is you decide to get hormone therapy, it doesn't matter. You need to start embracing, specifically for women, a holistic lifestyle. You need to
Mm-hmm.
start making lifestyle modifications, dietary modifications, all those
Mm-hmm.
things when you are much younger, so you can navigate this journey much easier rather than having
Yeah.
all these aggravated symptoms, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I like the way you put that because you're talking about a lifestyle, and a
Hmm.
lifestyle is a way of life. And
Hmm.
for all of us, right? You start
Yes.
at a certain time and be gentle with yourself, but stick with it. Now I want to talk about these chronic conditions. You've mentioned the phrase chronic conditions a couple
Hmm.
of times, and I want to think about, let's call them age grades. And I'm thinking about a woman, for example, before 40, her 40th birthday.
Hmm.
So are there certain kinds of things that she should be thinking about in regard to her health pre 40?
Yeah, yeah. If you look at the data nowadays, a lot of women pre-40 are getting into the perimenopause because of all the stress, anxiety, all the toxic, all those things.
Mm,
So yes, absolutely. Women should be concerned about that, because if they are entering perimenopause in 30s, the fertility window narrows down because
mhm,
nowadays the women are getting married in
yeah,
later in their lives, and everybody can't afford to freeze their eggs, right?
yeah,
you
mhm,
know
mm,
so absolutely, you actually women should be taught about this in their 30s, because
yeah,
I think by the time you're 40 it's too late.
mm,
You need
mhm,
to be aware of it as part of the overall your physiology, your what is going to
yeah,
happen. I mean, nobody told me, and I talked to, like I said, 4,000 women, and they all said the same thing, echo the same
mhm,
thing. We had no clue this was
mhm,
coming. So it's not just the woman, it's a society too. Think about it.
yeah.
The guy, the man is also going to get impacted, the family is going to get impacted, right?
That's for sure. I mean, and what you're saying is that this holistic lifestyle, because we're trying to have this conversation. I'm trying to divide things up, but really, this is a way of life, as I've said before. But what I
Mhm.
would hate to say, though, that is important. One thing a woman can do early on, all of us can do early on, is to
Mhm.
manage our stress. We may
Yes.
not be able to eliminate it, but to
Yes.
to manage it. Well, in that regard, I and this is why I like having these kinds of conversations, and I think it's fitting for us men to be educated about some of
Mhm.
the issues that women face. I interviewed a doctor, and she introduced me to a phrase. I mean, I had seen it before, but hadn't been aware of this phrase. She called it the third shift. Now we're still looking at stress, right? So the woman gets the kids ready for school in the morning. She feeds them. She gets them off to school. Then she goes to work. She works all day. Then she comes home to this third shift. When she said
Yes.
this, oh my gosh, I had been blind all of these years. That must be pretty stressful on a woman.
Mhm.
What can she do to better take care of herself, given all of her responsibilities?
It's very stressful, especially in this country, raising kids, right?
Right.
raising a family, especially in Western countries, I should say that. Asian countries are different. Women are, they get a lot of help. Here, women don't have help. That's the problem. So what can you do if you're raising small kids? You need to rely on your partner. The partner has to be, some kind of a responsibility that are equally distributed. You have to delegate some of the things, seek help, some, like cooking, cleaning, all the things, right? Because woman cannot take on all the responsibility. Otherwise,
Right.
she's going to get burnt out
Right.
and
Right.
not
And
right and not do a
yeah.
not be a good mom, not be a good wife,
Yeah,
and not be
I
a
tell
good
you, yeah.
right.
As I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate this. But being that superwoman may
Yeah.
not be a good thing, because that's a lot to put on anyone. What about this? I'm curious about this. A woman from 50 to 70, are there unique things there? And then 70 and above, are there things that they should be thinking about during during that stage of life, or those stages of life, I should say?
You mean 50 to 70 or 70 plus?
50 to 70, then 70 plus.
50 to 70 is absolutely, you are in the going to be menopause, right? You're hitting
Mm,
menopause 51, 52. You're right at the prime. Actually, 50 to 60 is your prime age when you're hitting menopause. You're probably working. Nowadays, most of the women are working until they are 65. So you need to
right.
remain active. You need to make sure you do not take on a chronic condition, because the data talks about 80% of women in America over the age of 55 have one chronic condition. So they
Yeah.
need to manage that risk of not getting a chronic condition. That would be the biggest concern for a 50-year-old woman, that
Mm,
she's not getting into a chronic condition. And I talked about bone loss, right? We talked a little bit about joint pains and osteoarthritis. It's very, very common. I personally have like 4 or 5 friends who are getting knee surgery at this age. I mean, it's like
yeah.
unbelievable because
Hmm.
of all the things that we are talking about. So they need to be very, very careful during that phase of 50 to 70 of not taking on a chronic condition, what we talked about.
Yeah. And being around some of my neighbors and acquaintances who are 80 plus of
Mhm.
either gender, they're making me aware of something is that the longer you live, the more likely you will lose your network. And then it occurs to me then, and that if you're going to be healthy, you need association. So I'm thinking about you got to, there's so many things, right? Women face that, especially because women generally outlive their male companions. What do you say
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Women do outlive, and then the longer you live, you start losing your social networks, because most of
Yeah.
the people your age are not healthy, unfortunately, right? Or they have, like, I know in my neighborhood, there are a few 85-year-olds, and one of the ladies is healthy, and she said, I'm losing all my friends because most of my friends are either towards the end of life,
Mhm.
or they have some kind of a debilitating condition, they cannot communicate. So yes, it can be very lonely during that phase of
Hmm.
someone's life, 80 plus, because you are losing your social network, right? And you're
Yeah.
also probably it's actually a tough phase of anyone's life,
Yeah.
um,
And,
man
and
or
I
woman,
like,
it doesn't matter. Yeah.
yeah, and I like it that you advocate a holistic lifestyle. And I want
Hmm.
to dig around this for a little bit. Um, and let's face it now, in the Western world,
Hmm.
maybe throughout the world, people
Hmm.
face anxiety, depression,
Hmm.
stress. How, in advancing what you call the holistic lifestyle, how do we deal with those conditions from your
Yeah.
standpoint?
Yeah, it's become so rampant, right? I was talking to
Yeah.
someone this morning in India. I'm originally from there, and he was telling me a story of a young boy, like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old in schools, like right, kindergarten, and then having trauma and mental health issues. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, what a 9-year-old. I remember 9-year-old being going in the street and playing and not worrying about all these issues.
Yeah.
So definitely something has happened all over the world, for that matter, not only in the United States.
Mm,
That kids, it's happening to the kids. The kids
mm,
are mentally stressed out. And why? Do we think about it? Why are kids so stressed out at age 8 or 9? I think it's because their parents are stressed out. It's
Uh-huh.
because this, right? The
Yeah.
kid, it happened in the family. If the joy and the laughter is not happening
Mm.
from the parents, it actually transmits into the other person,
Yeah.
right? So as a society, we are so stressed out right now, and we need to break away
Mm.
from that. And how do we break
Mm.
away from that? It's not just one person's problem. It's like, I think, the society problem right
Yeah.
now.
I think you're right. I think it's just a systemic problem for sure. And you're
Hmm.
right, children should be able to be children, but of course, with all of the conversation today about trauma and childhood trauma and the like, it's gosh, you wonder, kids have to grow up
Yeah.
fast. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, in talking about holistic health, now I'm going to
Mhm.
blush when I ask you this, but it's a part of what you do here. You
Yes.
talk
Yes.
about sexual health, and
Hmm.
I'm first of all, when I hear that, I'm like, what is sexual health? So I'll ask you, what do you mean by sexual health?
So sexual health, doesn't mean that it has to be done with the partner, right? As an example. So what they're talking about is sexual health is really keeping that part of the body, men or women, lubricated or working, or, in working in the sense like functional, I should say, that for lack of any other word.
Mm.
So what that means is, like, let's talk about the woman's health, woman's body right now, for example. So what happens to women's body, could happen, not necessarily happening to all the women, all right, is the vaginal area can get less lubricated because of the loss of estrogen. We talked about that. And then that whole area can, the wall of the vaginal can become thin, and the sex can be painful. As an example, it's called vaginal atrophy. That's the technical term for that. Now, if the sex is painful, for instance, the woman is not engaging in a healthy relationship with the partner, that can also add tension, right? So sexual health in the sense is also, actually, from scientific point of view, it releases these happy hormones when a
Mm.
man and a woman engage in sexual health or sexual activities. The hormones are engaged, and I'm not saying not necessarily with another partner. It could be other ways that women can, or men can, engage in the sexual health. So it releases these happy hormones, and you feel happy. It's all these oxytocin, dopamine, all these things. So it is good for a human's health, engaging in
Yeah.
sexual health scientifically. Okay, I'm talking
Uh-huh.
science here. I mean, that is giving birth to mankind as well, right?
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
just
yeah, right.
yeah.
So we think of
Uh,
it as taboo,
right.
right?
Yeah.
But it's a natural way that hormones are high when you're younger,
Mm.
and then we get attracted. There's no scientific way how we get attracted to other
Mm.
whatever, but it's a natural process, right? This whole
Mhm.
thing, and it is releasing these happy hormones for men
Mm.
as well as women. and
Mm.
and and it's good to engage in, the scientific point of view, good to engage in keeping the sexual health active because of the reasons that I talked about. And also, it's a pain reliever, believe
Mm.
it or not, when
Yeah.
the pains that we were talking about. And also, it keeps, for women, engaging in the sexual health, being active in sexual health, also helps them with, I was talking about the hair thinning earlier,
Mm.
right? The collagen, the skin, all that, it keeps them young also. So there's a
Yeah.
scientific evidence. It's a
Yeah.
taboo. It has become a big taboo.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you look at it from a scientific angle point of view, it is scientifically proven. We
Mhm.
don't talk about it. That's the
Right.
problem.
Right. That's sexual health is more taboo than menopause.
Mhm.
But I love the way you, Amita, expressed it. You talked about happy hormones. Happy. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. I think all of us get that message. You also emphasize the importance of self-love. And a lot of
Mhm.
people throw that phrase around, self-love,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure if I've heard anyone really talk about what do you mean by self-love? What is self-love?
Self-love means doing something that you absolutely want to do, right? Because you're taking care of the kids. As a 40-year-old woman, we're talking about her. Me time, right? What she wants to do, whether she wants to go to a spa, as an example, or she wants to get her hair done. I don't know. I'm just, that is all part of self-love.
Mm.
Loving yourself, doing the things that you love to do, whatever it could be, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever it could be, whatever gives you happiness,
Yeah.
whatever gets your happy hormones, fluids
Yeah.
going. That's what I mean by self-love, and doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Putting your also, I'm not saying stop taking care of your family. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is that taking care of yourself as well. When you're
Hmm.
taking care of your kids or your husband or loved ones or parents or whatever. But if
Mm.
you don't take care of yourself, if you don't do the things that you love to do, you won't be able to give that love after some time. You're going to be so
Uh-huh.
tired. In order for
Right.
you to give, you need to get,
Yeah.
right?
I get it. And some women get great joy in taking care of their grandkids and those kinds of things, but you're offering, not, I wouldn't say advice, but a suggestion: take care of yourself as well. I
Yes.
love it. I love this expression: refuel your tank, then you'll have something to give to somebody else. So,
Yeah, exactly. Your
yeah.
car is going to stop otherwise.
Exactly. So self-care, self-love, do you see these as the same thing, or do you make a distinction between self-care and self-love?
So self-care is really taking care of yourself. Like I told you, I have embraced a holistic lifestyle. I take care of myself by the dietary lifestyle. Self-love is something actually taking the time for me to do something that I love to do. So they're two different
Mm,
things, right? Care
uh-huh.
is taking
Okay.
care. I can take care of myself, but still I don't have time to love myself in the sense doing the things that I love to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
There could be two different
Yeah.
expressions, the way you look at it.
Hmm. Got it. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
We've already talked about, hormones, conditions, cultures, so-called races.
Mhm.
How do we engage this conversation in a healthy way? Because sometimes, you talk about these things, you talk about health, it is that, or physical health or mental health is like
Mhm.
one size fits all. This is what
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sensing, in the
Yes.
industry. But then
Hmm.
one size doesn't fit all. How do we talk about this in a healthy way that's not combative in your mind? What do you think?
Yeah, because the cultural sensitivity has to come into our health and wellness industry, right? Because we talked about that. How do we talk about that? It has to happen where there's congregation of community, like we talked
Yeah.
earlier. It has to be at the grassroots level, wherever we as human beings are congregating or are communicating with the
Mhm.
community. And that's why I mentioned even religious organizations, like even churches or temples.
Yeah.
There is always a group for kids, but there could be an awareness group for women as well, right? I mean,
Hmm.
as an example, right?
Yeah.
For
I'm with
wellness.
you. Sure.
I think it has to come where we as human beings do on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis. What do? We go to work, so it has to happen at workplace. It's not happening. I mean, I'm trying. We're trying to get into workplace to make this awareness happen.
Mhm.
Working with some companies and working with some organizations, and then the second thing is we come home and we have a network of our friends, and maybe on Sunday we go to some associations that we associated with on a religious level. So these are the things on a day-to-day basis what we are doing. So we need to figure out how to inject them at these as these organizations, so it becomes available and awareness happens.
Yeah, awareness for sure. People need to be aware.
Hmm.
Maybe we are aware, or maybe we'll evolve to that point where we'll recognize that,
Yes.
treating others, your neighbor, as you treat yourself is a
Hmm.
healthy thing and it
Hmm.
benefits all of society. Look, what's your baby is NourishDoc. What's NourishDoc?
So, NourishDoc is a holistic wellness for women going through hormonal transition, right? And we talked about the hormonal transition for a woman starts at puberty because the hormones are fluctuating during the normal menstrual cycle. As she inches towards the perimenopause and menopause. So the idea behind NourishDoc is to really help women during this journey using the holistic therapies, making lifestyle modifications, and taking the evidence-based holistic therapies during her journey so that she can live a healthy and happier life.
I like that. I like that. And you'll give me the links for the show notes. We'll have that
Mhm.
information for people who want to learn
Yes.
more about NourishDoc. How can men support women in their
Mhm.
journey
Mhm.
of life?
Men need to be also aware that their loved ones, their partner is going to go through this journey. Most of the men don't even know. And you said you didn't know about menopause when I
Yeah.
reached out to you, right? I mean, it's not just you. I did not know. Forget about you. I, as a woman, had no clue. So it's not just women, it's not just men, it's also women. So I think more we make it open, we just have discussions, the men are also aware so that they can maintain a healthy relationships with their partners, right?
Yes.
um, that's
Yeah.
important because we know that the rise of great divorce has risen over the years. And I'm not blaming menopause for it, but I think menopause has an angle towards the
Mm.
rise of grave divorce. And there is a data that talks about that.
Yeah. And it's because, we men just sometimes are not aware. Many
Hmm.
things that I'm aware of now at age 70, I had no clue about when I was at, 30. And if I knew better, I would have done better for sure. Amita, is there anything else in your heart that you
Hmm.
want to share with us that we haven't talked about today?
I just want to share the love of wellness to all the women in the world and also to men. In my heart, I want to make an impact to their lives. I know with the power of holistic therapies, we can. So that is truly in my heart, and I'm truly, truly thankful to you for really bringing this topic and talking about this. So I'm truly thankful to you as well.
Well, look, I am so grateful for your time. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for this connection. This was more delightful than I had anticipated. So thank you so much. This is a great conversation for sure. Thank you, Amita.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Possibility Action Network podcast. Our guest today has been Amita Sharma, the co founder of NourishDoc. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton. Until next time, good day.
You are not alone. Just keep on going. Just press on, press on.